In this video of Part Workbench, we are going to see how to use Boolean operation on 3D solids. So let's create a new document. Now for doing this Boolean operation, we need a couple of solids. So I'll add a cube and a cylinder to our 3D model. Now let's first have a look at where these buttons are. So just in the middle of the toolbar, you can see Run Boolean Operation with two shapes selected. Now when you click on this, you will get a different panel where you can select different shapes. Like when I click on it, you will be able to select the first shape and the second shape, and then what Boolean operation you would like to conduct. So let's say you would like to, the first shape is cube and the second shape is cylinder, and you would like to create a union of both of them. Click on apply and close. So you can see the fusion of these two. So now these two are not individual entities, but they are a single entity. As you can see, I am moving them and they are still moving as a single entity. So let's bring their placements back. Now this does not mean, when you create a fusion, it does not mean that the primitives that we used are gone. Click on this arrow on the left hand side of fusion and you can see that still your cube and cylinder are available. Now what is the use of these cylinders which you cannot see? So first let's create a sphere. Now you want to create another Boolean operation, but you want to use just this sphere and cylinder. Okay, I'll just go back. I want to create a union of cylinder and sphere. I'll click on apply and close. So now there are only two objects here, fusion and fusion 001. I can move this fusion 001, which is the fusion of the cylinder with the sphere. So here you can see that this cylinder has been used twice to create two different types of fusion. So you can reuse the 3D model or the 3D objects that you have created in your environment, the 3D environment, or in your file. Now this was how you would create a fusion. Next, let's just create what's called as I'll move this first. Let's now create an intersection between two 3D objects. So let's add a cube and a cylinder. So this is the new cube, cube 001, and this is the new cylinder, cylinder 001. If I select cube 001 first, control and then click cylinder 001, and I go back and click on this button, run a Boolean operation. In here, if I select intersection, click on apply, then the only shape that is the intersection between those two, say cube 001 and cylinder 001, will be available after this Boolean operation. Let's move this away. Again, let's create a cube and a cylinder. Now when you click on these two and go back, you can then create a difference. Now the difference will be calculated based on what is the first shape minus what is the second shape. So in this case, this cube will be cut out with the quarter of a cylinder. So when I click on apply, you can see that this cube has been cut by the 1/4 of a cylinder. Next, let's use same cube and a cylinder. Select both, and then if you click on section and click apply, you get the edges that are at the intersection of those two shapes. So this, when you create a section, you don't get a 3D model, you get edges of the intersection of those 3D models. So in other words, this section is, in fact, if you click on, or if you select all the different edges here and then you export them out, you will get a section view like this one. Now there are other ways of doing this or conducting this Boolean operation, and I'll show that pretty quick. So let's create the cube and the cylinder again. Now instead of going in here and selecting them, what you can do is you can click on the cube first and then click on cylinder, and then you can see that all the other buttons on the right hand side of run a Boolean operation now becomes enabled. Now if I click on the first one, it will cut cylinder from the cube, so it will give us the same result as we got with this cut. Next, we are going to see, first let's create the cube and cylinder again. Now if I select the cube and cylinder, and if I click on union, it just means that it creates that fusion that was created up here, the very first Boolean operation. Let's move this fusion away. Let's create a cube and a cylinder again. Select the cube first and the cylinder, and then the third one, the third option is intersection. So when I click on that, it will create a 3D model which is similar to the intersection option that we created earlier. Now what happens if you select cylinder first and then the cube? Now if it is union operation, the difference between selecting cylinder first or the cube first is not there, and I'll demonstrate it by just clicking on union. As you can see, this fusion 3 is same as the previous two fusion, the fusion and fusion 002. Now you will be able to see the difference between selecting cylinder first and then cube when you do the intersection. When I do intersection, you can see that now instead of this part here common, you will be able to see a cut. The cylinder is your object and your cube becomes the tool. So the tool is deducted from your cylinder. Let's move this away. And let's create one more of them. Now let's select cylinder first and then cube, and let's select intersection. Now intersection here will give you the exact same thing that we got from the other intersection. The difference of selecting cylinder first and cube second, or cube first and cylinder second, will be only visible when you are doing your cutting. If you are using union or if you are using intersection, then the results would be the same. So that's how you do Boolean operations on 3D solids.